Okay, I want to start today with a bit of a, let's call it a mental audit.
Yeah.
I'm assuming most people listening right now are probably in or managing a pretty high-end environment. Maybe you're in a corner office or reviewing plans for a new hotel lobby. Maybe you're even on the deck of a super yacht.
It's the standard backdrop, really, for the industries we're discussing.
Exactly. So look around you. You see high-quality materials, right? Teak, marble, chrome, and almost certainly you see a view of the water.
Of course.
But here's the slightly uncomfortable question I want to start with. Is that environment actually working for you? Or is it just expensive wallpaper?
Ah, the generic luxury trap. You see it everywhere.
You really do. We spend millions on engineering, on architecture, but when it comes to the soul of the space, the art, the narrative, it just feels like an afterthought.
An expensive afterthought.
Right. So today we're diving into something different, a strategy that claims to turn that passive scenery into an active asset. We're looking at the EURAN Maritime and Art-to-Product Edition.
Which is a massive project, and I should say it's spearheaded by the architect and designer Alexandros Mimoglou.
And let's be clear, this is not just about hanging pretty pictures on a wall.
No, not at all. This is aimed squarely at the heavy hitters. We're talking CEOs in superyachting, aerospace, real estate, finance. The whole idea is strategic monetization.
Okay, I want to pause on that term, strategic monetization of art, because it sounds a little bit like corporate jargon. What does that actually mean? Are we talking about auctioning paintings?
No, and that's the key distinction. This isn't the traditional art market. We're talking about something called art intelligence.
Art intelligence.
Think of it this way. You have a huge physical asset, like a cruise ship or a hotel. You have to fill it with visual content.
Right.
Usually you hire a decorator, they pick something safe. Some blue abstract waves, maybe.
Safe, inoffensive, and completely forgettable.
Precisely. What Mimoglou and EURAN are arguing is that when you do that, you're leaving cultural capital on the table. Art intelligence is the ability to take art history, specifically museum-quality masterpieces, and operationalize them.
Operationalize art history. That's a bold claim. So walk me through it. How do we get from a painting in a museum to, a line item on a balance sheet?
It all starts with what they call the Art-to-Product Commercialization Nexus. It's basically a framework.
A framework.
Yeah, think of it like a refinery. They've curated this huge library, over 353 masterpieces. And these aren't just any works. They are public domain classics. They've stood the test of time.
So they already have that baked-in provenance, that authority.
Exactly. And that is the key business advantage. If you hire a graphic designer, the pattern they create has zero historical weight. It's just a graphic.
Right.
But if you take a high-resolution digitization of a 19th century Venetian master and you adapt that into, say, a wall panel, you are instantly inheriting centuries of prestige.
You're borrowing the museum's authority in a way.
Right. You are. And you're doing it without the legal nightmare of licensing living artists. These are public domain works. But the value comes from the curation and the high-tech adaptation EURAN provides. They've turned these 353 paintings into over 3,000 specific design assets.
3,000. That number is staggering. It sounds less like an art collection and more like a database.
It is a database of cultural DNA. And for a CEO, that offers scalability. You aren't hunting for individual pieces anymore. You have a coherent, curated library you can apply to everything.
Okay, I get the logistics, but what about the experience? Because if I'm a guest on a super yacht, I don't care about a database. I care about how the room makes me feel.
And that's where the intelligence part comes in. The collection is segmented by moods.
Moods.
Yes, this is crucial. You choose the art based on the psychographic outcome you want to achieve.
Psychographic outcome. So you mean shaping the mood of the room.
Precisely. Let's start with the first one, the Venetian legacy. This is the grandeur mood.
Well, Venice is the ultimate maritime brand, isn't it? Synonymous with wealth and power for 1,000 years.
Exactly. So if you want to project stability, institutional power, timeless authority, you go to Venice. The collection has the big names, like Turner and Canaletto.
Of course.
But there's one piece I really want to highlight because it just perfectly illustrates this power move idea. It's by Luca Carlavares, the Bucentoro departing from the Bacino di San Marco.
I looked at that one. It's incredibly busy. It's not a calm seascape at all.
No, it's a piece of political theater.
Yeah.
The Bucentoro was the Doge's ceremonial golden barge. It's this massive, gilded, floating palace surrounded by hundreds of boats. It's pure spectacle.
So where does an executive use this? You don't put this in a spa.
No, you put this in a boardroom or the main lobby of a private bank, a state-level suite. When someone walks in, Even if they don't know the artist, they subconsciously register ceremony, importance.
It does the heavy lifting for you. It says important things happen here.
Exactly. But let's flip that. Not every business wants old-world pomp. What if you're in the sport yacht sector? You want dynamism. You want to feel the wind.
That brings us to the naval and action segment.
Right. And here, the curation gives us a really interesting contrast between two masters, C.W. Eckersberg and Konstantinos Voulanakis.
The Eckersberg pieces felt, well, they felt almost like blueprints to me, very precise.
That's the Danish Golden Age style. Look at his painting, an American naval brig. It is hyper-precise. You can see the tension in the rigging, the geometry of the hull. It appeals to an engineering mind.
So if your client is someone who loves the mechanics of sailing, who respects the technology, this is the art for them.
It signals competence, order, precision, perfect for a bridge deck. Now, contrast that with Voulanakis. He's a Greek master, and his work, Fishing Boat on Choppy Waters, is the complete opposite.
Oh yeah, it's chaotic.
It's visceral. The boat is tilting. The waves are cresting. You can almost feel the salt spray. It captures the adrenaline of being at sea.
That's a very different energy. That's for a space where you want to stimulate the pulse, maybe a casino on a ship or a bar.
Exactly. It brings energy into the room. This is why generic blue wave art fails. It doesn't have a specific emotional frequency. Voulanakis has a frequency. Eckersberg has a frequency. Art intelligence is knowing which one to tune into.
Okay, let's talk about a challenge I think a lot of modern executives face. Ship design, corporate architecture, it's all very sleek now. Glass, steel, they look like floating skyscrapers. If you hang an 18th century frigate on the wall...
It could look out of place,
Yeah.
like a museum piece.
Yeah.
And that's a valid concern. It's why the modernism and industry curation is so vital to this collection.
Yeah.
This is for the urban sophistication vibe.
The standout for me here was Joseph Stella.
Metropolitan Port.
Oh.
Such a departure. Stella was a futurist, obsessed with the machine age. The painting is all steel cables and sharp angles. It's dark, moody, geometric.
It looks industrial but beautiful.
Oh,
There's industrial elegance.
That's a perfect phrase for it. If you're building a corporate HQ in a port city like Rotterdam, or designing a huge atrium on a new cruise liner, this fits the architecture. It says, we are forward-looking.
It acknowledges the maritime roots, but through a lens of modern power.
And then you have someone like John Marin. His work, the sea, Maine, is almost abstract, just slashes of energy and color. That works incredibly well for, say, fashion or travel accessories. It captures the feeling of the ocean without being literal.
I want to pivot now to what is arguably the biggest buzzword in hospitality. Wellness. If you're not selling wellness, you're not selling luxury. How does art intelligence play into that?
Wellness is king right now, and we know that visual input directly affects the nervous system. You can't put a stormy Voulanakis in a spa and expect people to relax.
You need to lower the heart rate.
You need light. You need softness. This is where the serene and atmospheric segment comes in, and it relies heavily on the Impressionists.
Claude Monet.
You can't talk about light without Monet. Sunrise, Marine, or Morning at Antibes. Think about Antibes. It's all pinks, soft blues, lilacs. Your eye doesn't have to work hard to focus.
It's a visual exhale.
That's a great way to put it. Now imagine applying that radiant palette to the interior textiles of a suite or the stationery on the desk. You're literally wrapping the guest in tranquility.
So it's about creating an atmosphere, not just hanging a picture. But I noticed a subcategory in the notes, Nordic atmosphere, that felt different. Not sunny in French, it was moodier.
Introspective. This is for a very specific slice of the luxury market, the intellectual traveler. The person on an expedition, cruise to the Arctic, they don't want sunny, they want depth.
The material mentions Edvard Munch. Now, when I hear Munch, I think the scream, I think anxiety, not great for hospitality.
No, absolutely not. But this isn't the scream. This is Munch's Moonlight. It has this incredible motif he used, the moonlight pillar, a solid column of light on dark, still water. It's mysterious.
The notes call this museum vibes.
And that is a very sellable vibe. It respects the guest's intelligence. It's not trying to cheer them up. It's inviting them to contemplate. Anders Zorn's in The Scaries does the same thing. It adds cultural weight to the silence.
So we have this incredible library, these different moods. But let's get back to the monetization part. How does this actually drive revenue?
This is the real aha moment. Traditionally, art is a cost center. You buy it, you hang it, it sits there.
Right.
EURAN's model turns that art into a product line.
Moving beyond the frame.
Exactly. Think about the guest journey. They stay in your suite, they love the atmosphere, then they leave. How do you extend that relationship?
Merchandising.
But not just sticking a logo on a cheap t-shirt, which dilutes the brand. We're talking about high-end limited edition products derives from the very art that defines your space. A silk scarf with the Monet pattern from the lobby, a set of bone china with the Canaletto from the dining room.
So the guest isn't just buying a souvenir, they're buying a piece of the cultural capital they experienced.
Precisely. And the range of applications is staggering. Some are expected, like wall panels, but some are surprisingly fun. Puzzles, shower curtains, even gaming mouse pads.
I have to admit, seeing gaming mouse pads next to JMW Turner made me pause. It feels a bit irreverent.
But think about the demographics. Cruise lines are desperate to capture younger audiences. Why shouldn't the mousepad in the teen lounge be a piece of fine art? It elevates the mundane. It creates total brand saturation.
There was one specific example I thought was brilliant, the morphing mug.
Yes, it sounds gimmicky, but think about the theater of it. It's a black mug. You pour hot coffee in, and suddenly a Jasper Francis Cropsey landscape reveals itself.
That's what we call a micro-touchpoint in the hotel world.
It's a moment of discovery. In the age of social media, that's gold. A guest films their mug changing colors. That is organic marketing you cannot buy with a billboard.
It's wrapping a commodity coffee in an experience. What about industries where you can't hang a painting, like aerospace? Weight is the enemy.
A huge market. You can't hang a heavy canvas in a Gulfstream jet.
Yeah.
But you still want that feeling of luxury and culture. So you use these high-res digitizations to print onto lightweight materials.
The bulkheads, the dividers.
Even laptop sleeves or the leather on the seats. You bring the cultural capital of the 19th century to 30,000 feet with zero unnecessary weight. It's pure aesthetic precision.
So if I'm an executive listening and I'm thinking, okay, this makes sense. I want to use art intelligence. How do I engage?
Well, the business model is flexible. There are 3 tiers. First is simple licensing. You have a project, you have designers, you just license the assets.
Plug and play.
Second is product creation. This is for retail. You want a gift shop line designed by Alexandros Mimoglou. They'll create it for you.
And the third?
Consulting. They call it double project power. This is for the visionaries. This is where Muglou's team works with your architects from the ground up to build the art strategy.
It's a full ecosystem then. You're not just downloading a JPEG, you're buying a strategy.
And you're buying safety. I cannot stress this enough for corporate clients. Licensing living artists can be messy. Rights expire, artists get into scandals.
Public domain is safe.
Turner is never going to tweet something offensive. The value is locked in history. It's stable. That is a massive asset for a risk-averse corporation.
As we wrap this up, if our listeners want to keep their finger on the pulse of this movement, where do they look?
The central hub for this whole philosophy is Alexandros Mimoglou's newsletter, Constellation.
Constellation, connecting the stars.
Exactly. It's described as the place for fresh perspectives and actionable insights. It's really about this intersection of culture and commerce. He's putting up a signal, inviting collaboration.
A call to action for the cultural and creative industries to work with the corporate world.
It is. The message is incredibly optimistic. It's saying that even in a mass market world, high culture has a crucial role. In fact, it might be the only thing that saves you from becoming a commodity.
Which brings us to our final thought. We live in a global market that is just flooded with luxury.
It's everywhere. And because it's everywhere, a lot of it looks exactly the same. The same beige tones, the same generic art.
So the question for you, our listener, is, what is your differentiator?
Could cultural intelligence be that differentiator? Can you tell a story that started 300 years ago and sell it today?
Can you turn the water on your wall into an asset on your balance sheet?
That is the power of a deep dive into art history. It gives you roots. And in a storm, roots keep you standing.
The fascinating way to look at the value of water and paint. I want to thank everyone for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
To our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe take a closer look at that painting in your lobby. It might just be your next biggest asset. Until next time, deepen your dive.